Today we're going to be replacing spark plugs on this 2021 Chevy Silverado 1500 5.3 liter V8 engine. So we're going to be replacing spark plugs on this engine. I'm going to show you guys what tools we need to get started with this job. So these are some of the tools that we are going to use when it comes to replacing the spark plugs on that engine. We might need a flashlight depending if you need some light. It's kind of dark in there. We're going to be using this 3/8 swivel head ratchet, another 3/8 ratchet, 1/4 inch ratchet. We're going to have different extensions. It just depends on what type of extensions you're going to use. Your 5/8 spark plug socket, we're going to use a 1/4 inch socket for adapters to remove the fender liner on the vehicle. We are going to be going through these through the fender liner, not through the top of the engine. Your spark plug or your boot pliers removal. We have our spark plugs. We're going to be using AC Delco iridium spark plugs straight from the manufacturer, and we're going to be using copperhead gloves. I want to give a special thanks for UNISAFE for sponsoring the video and sending us their new copperhead gloves. Who else wants a venom grip? Everyone knows that when a copper snake bites, he's not letting go. That's why the Copperhead industrial grade orange disposable nitrile gloves have a true race tactical grip, diamond texture, non-slipping or sliding. These gloves are visually strong, stretching past the limits of other gloves without tearing. These 8mm thick disposable nitrile gloves are manufactured using 100 pure nitrile rubber, no filler materials, giving you 2 or 3 times the durability of other even thicker gloves. When the rubber begins to reach the body temperature, they even mold to your hands for perfect fit. And like the scales of a snake, these high visibility orange nitrile gloves provide maximum protection and resistance to many chemicals during tough tasks. Whether you're an automotive technician or other industrial user, Copperhead is the ultimate heavy duty disposable nitrile gloves for thickness and full sensitivity. With 0 cheap filler materials and killer diamond grip, these gloves are the world's top predators. I want to thank UNISAFE Gloves for sending these over to us. I'll leave their link down in the description. Make sure you go check them out. On this vehicle, we could do the spark plugs to the top, but there's more steps. So basically, you have the airbox here, the manufacturer airbox, so you would have to take that off, and you just have to be reaching through the engine compartment. On this side, it's a little bit, you got AC hoses, heater hoses, so it's easier if we are to just remove the wheel, which we're going to remove the wheel. And then from there, we are going to remove this fender liner, which shouldn't take much. And once I remove the wheel, I'll show you guys what it takes to remove the fender liner, and we'll have more access to get to those spark plugs. So I'm going to be removing the wheel first. So once we have the wheel off, make sure that it's nicely secured. I have 2 jacks on it and the wheel underneath just in case it falls or something. I don't have any of this falling on me. From there, we want to remove the fender liner. I've done it previously before where you just remove half of it and then just have it flopping half towards the front of the vehicle, and you kind of squeeze in there. But I'm gonna remove it just so you guys can see, have cleaner visual of it. But we gotta remove these 15s Torx around the fender liner, as you can see right here. And there's several of them, which I'm gonna remove. And then from there, there's also 10mm fastener there that we want to remove for that mud flap. So once I remove that, we're gonna have access to the spark plugs. So I removed the 14 Torx, and there was a 10mm fastener. So once we remove that, I'll loosen up all those. This fender liner will just pop right out. There we go. Once we remove that fender liner, like I mentioned earlier, you can kind of loosen up the back if you guys want, but I removed the whole thing just to have full access of it. So this is going to be the driver's side. So you do have the steering shaft in the way of cylinder number 2. So we are going to be doing the driver's side. The passenger's a lot easier, so I just want to do this side since that gets in the way. But as you can see right here, we got I'm going from this side. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. So pretty much 1 and 2, 3, 4 should be easy. So the next step is to remove the boots on the spark plugs. So I am going to be using these pliers. It's for the spark plug boots. So basically what you want to do is you want to go in there like this, squeeze, turn it a couple times, and then pull back. And you want to make sure you get it at the heat shield. I'll show you guys. We'll get it from this angle. So there you go, I'm gonna squeeze, turn, pops right out. We're gonna do that to all four. Pop right out. This is a little bit harder one. Because things get in the way. Once you get a nice grip on it, just twist, pops right out. And then this one should be easy too. Twist. So now they're all loose. So this comes very handy, especially because like I said, you can't get in there your finger, especially if it's hot. And they're all loose. And this engine has 70,000 miles still over time. If this car was over 100,000 miles, I would have definitely changed these at this time. So next time I do them around 110, I will be replacing these again. Or not again, but I would be replacing these. So the next step now is to basically remove the spark plugs. So I'm gonna start with this one back here. So I'm gonna get my spark plug, my extension, and my ratchet. So as we get the back one, I am gonna be using the 5/8 spark plug socket, 8-inch extensions, 3/8, and of course my 3/8 ratchet. Go in here. We're gonna break it loose. So once I break it loose, you can thread it by hand. So here is our spark plug. So we're gonna get the new one, we're gonna compare them. So here's the spark plug that we removed, the back one. As you guys can see right here. I'll kind of do a quick visual inspection to see if anything, if it's running rich, lean, if I see any other like oil foul, but looks pretty good. This car, like I said, this engine has 70,000 miles. Here's a new one. Just check with your local dealer or manufacturer because they do change part numbers. When they gave me these and I opened these up, I was like, hey, different part numbers. Like, no, this is just the updated part. The ones that come out with is AC Delco 41-114. The one they gave me was 41-168. So I called them, verified, it matches. So I think it's just different part number. Might be a little difference in length. Right here at the porcelain side, but to me everything else looks pretty good. So now that we matched up, you want to make sure you check your gap. Sometimes I've seen it when they ship these, the gap's close and then you'll be having a misfire. So let's install these. I don't put any anti-seize. If you guys want to do that, go ahead and do that, but I just pretty much, since it doesn't come like that from the factory and I do replace these frequently, I'm not gonna put any anti-seize. So I'm gonna start these by hand. So let's get started. So I personally like to start these by hand. I don't like to use electric ratchet or anything to start them. So I want to start them all the way so it bottoms out. According to manufacturer, we should be torquing these to 15 foot-pounds. But what I'm gonna do personally myself is just go tight all the way by hand till it stops. And then once it doesn't go anymore, I'm gonna get my extension again with my ratchet, which I'll show you guys right here. Just go tight just where it's nice and tight. But like I mentioned, there is a torque spec of 15 foot-pounds. You don't want to go too tight. That should be good enough. So the next step, number 3 should be about the same, and number 1. But I'm gonna show you guys what I'm gonna do to the one that kind of gets in the way. So I kind of give you guys an idea of how to replace that. So for number 2 spark plug on this side, on the driver's side bank, like we mentioned earlier, it's that one right there. We do have the steering shaft in the way. I just get my 5/8 extension, add maybe like a swivel extension on there with the swivel end, and then I should have access to get in there. As you can see right there, even with the swivel, we should be able to get it. Next thing we're gonna do, we're just gonna break it loose, and we're gonna remove it. But we definitely need a swivel to get in there. So just like that, we should be able to break it loose. I'm just gonna remove it. It's kind of hard to see in there. Just be careful whenever you're working on this area when the engine's hot. You see, there it is. So luckily my engine's cool, so I could get in there. Don't burn my fingers. At this point, if you have like an electric ratchet to remove it, you could move it with your extension. So I'm gonna pull this out, and then we're gonna put it back in. So here we go. I was able to manage to remove that. And we're gonna use our same setup to start it by hand. You gotta make sure you don't drop the spark plug. So like I mentioned to you guys, I really like to start them by hand all the way till it stops. And then from there, suggested torquing it to 15 foot-pounds as per manufacturer. I gotta say, this one's pretty much just kind of like not the hardest, but it's just that steering shaft really gets in the way. But with the proper extension and swivels, you should be able to get that. So once that bottoms out, you should be able to, it should stop by hand all the way when you bottom out. Right there. I'm just gonna torque it there. I actually do have a torque wrench, so I'm gonna torque it to 15 foot-pounds, and we'll go from there. With the right extension, I'm able to get my torque wrench in here, 15 foot-pounds. That's all it takes. So the next step is to basically, the front one shouldn't be that hard. You should have pretty straightforward access with an extension right there, as you guys can see. So we'll be replacing that. And then from there, we're gonna be installing back the spark plug boots. So I'll be replacing that real quick, and then we'll go from there. So once we install all our 4 spark plugs, we torque them down, everything's nice and set. Last thing to do is to put these ignition wires or boots into spark plugs. You could get some grease, special grease for the spark plug tubes that you could put around the spark plug so they could slide nice and easily. So one thing I like to do when you put them back in, because you got to make sure that they're fully secured or seated, you want to make sure you go straight in, and then you're gonna hear like a pop noise. So I want to make sure I get around it, not just from one side. Try to push straight, and you can feel like a pop, like something going in. So that's when you know you're going in and set. You kind of want to pull back a little bit. You don't want to pull from the wire. You could break that. I like to pull from this area just to make sure they're seated. Give another push. We're locked in. So we're gonna do the same thing with this one here. And you can hear the little pop going in. So we're gonna do that to the next 2 on this side. Go straight in. can hear the little pop. And of course, the last one's gonna be this one up here. Here's the last one. This is the front one. Make sure you're going straight. And there you go, you can hear the little pop. So all 4 boots are installed. Spark plugs, everything's nice and set. So of course the next step on this vehicle will be to, of course, put the fender liner, put your wheel, and you're all set. So the driver's side is the hardest one because of the shaft in the way. I'm not going to show you guys how to do the passenger side because it's pretty much the same procedure. The only thing, you have a straight shot, there's no shaft in there, so you have easy access. The only difference with that right bank, it's not as tight fit, but the rear spark plugs is back here. So you need like a little extension to get in there, but it should be straightforward, nothing too complicated. I gotta say the driver's side's the hardest one. So I'm gonna put this back real quick, and one thing I suggest doing, make sure you start the vehicle that there's no misfires, like flashing lights. One indication would be that the boot, basically, it's not seated all the way, or if that wire got damaged. But one way of knowing is just driving it, make sure there's no flashing lights. You should be ready to go. It's pretty straightforward. I want to thank UNISAFE Gloves for sponsoring the video. I want to say thank you guys for watching the video. If this video was very helpful to you guys, please make sure you guys hit the like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.